The problem of our time isn't evil, it's stupidity. We are living under the rule of the stupidest generation in history. And no, it's not defined by lack of access to information. It's defined by confidence without reflection, opinion without foundation, certainty without awareness. This generation isn't on the fringes. It's leading, influencing culture, politics, and economy. And the most alarming part, it intimidates the intelligent. Today's stupid doesn't hesitate. They speak, post, share, and influence. Not because they know, but because they think they know. And belief is enough. To them, doubt is weakness, certainty is status. They don't seek truth, they seek validation. Likes, views, digital applause. And the more absurd the opinion, the more engagement it gets. We're witnessing the rise of self-assured ignorance. And the worst part, it's argument-proof. The information age didn't bring wisdom, it brought noise. Information without interpretation is just intellectual debris. There's no shortage of data, only a shortage of criteria. We lost the ability to ask the right questions. Depth was defeated by speed, rigor by reach. And in this new game, slow thinkers get left behind. The algorithm doesn't reward reflection, it rewards reaction. Modern ignorance is active, militant, invasive. It doesn't wait to be asked. It barges in. It allows no nuance, only absolute certainty. There's no room for maybe, it depends, or let's investigate. Narrative matters more than facts. Emotion over logic. Simplification over complexity. Meanwhile, doubt, the tool of the intelligent, has become a joke. Doubt is now seen as weakness, indecision, confusion. But doubt is the engine of all knowledge. It drives science, philosophy, and justice. Blind certainty paralyzes thought, and modern stupidity thrives on blind certainty, especially when it's wrong. Stupidity now has structure. It has aesthetics, language, catchphrases. Its spokespeople are on podcasts, stages, and social feeds, disguised as normal people telling hard truths. But what they preach are regurgitated half-truths. They reject complexity because they can't handle it, and turn simplism into a moral code. Being stupid today doesn't mean being uninformed. It means being intolerant of ambiguity, unable to accept the idea of being wrong. Intelligence knows mistakes are part of the process. Stupidity demands being right, even when everything is falling apart. This rigidity makes it dangerous and hard to challenge. We're facing a new kind of power, the power of articulate ignorance. It spreads fast, is easy to digest, and hard to debunk. It builds tribes, strengthens echo chambers, creates alternate realities. It's a virus of narrative, infectious, adaptive, relentless. And there's only one vaccine, critical thinking, but it's in short supply. The anti-vaccine movement is one of the clearest examples. Despite decades of research and evidence, manufactured doubt prevailed. People started trusting YouTube clips over peer-reviewed science. Celebrities without credentials became authorities. Scientists were accused of global conspiracies. Medicine turned into a matter of personal belief, and lives were lost to collective stubbornness. Fake news follows the same logic. It doesn't need to be true, just feel believable. It spreads in seconds before any fact check can catch up, and even when debunked, it still sticks. Because people absorbed it emotionally. Factual truth loses to emotional truth, and the damage lingers long after the correction. Conspiracy theories work the same way. They simplify the world's chaos by inventing imaginary enemies. They, governments, scientists, elites, are always the problem. The logic is binary. Good versus evil, us versus them. There's no space to think, only to believe. And the more absurd the theory, the more loyal the believer. Reality is rejected in favor of emotional comfort. The Dunning-Kruger effect explains much of it. The less someone knows, the more confident they become. It's the self-confidence of the ignorant, and online, that confidence goes viral. While the truly wise hesitate, the unqualified shout their certainty, and they get rewarded for it. The system favors those who should be heard the least. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, a German theologian, warned of this long ago. He said, "Stupidity is more dangerous than evil. The stupid can't be reasoned with. They're closed to logic, immune to arguments. And when stupidity aligns with power, it becomes destructive." Bonhoeffer wrote this during the Nazi era. Today, it feels prophetic. Tom Nichols, in The Death of Expertise, gave another warning. We now live in a time where everyone thinks they're an expert. The internet leveled the field and flattened authority. Actual experience lost its value. Knowledge became arrogance, doubt became weakness, and we created a culture hostile to real understanding. The digital world amplifies all of it. Speed kills nuance. Popularity becomes proof. Memes replace arguments. Short videos shape deep convictions. Attention spans have collapsed, and stupidity found the perfect platform. Stupidity didn't win by being better. It won by being louder, more constant, more persistent. Ignorance drowned out reason. Debate became a speed race, not a test of depth. The voice of wisdom got buried beneath shallow certainty. Now, anyone who reflects is seen as weak or out of touch. Truth has become just another form of noise. The intelligent aren't silent out of fear. They're silent out of exhaustion. Every argument is ignored, twisted, or mocked. The repetition of stupidity wears down even the strongest minds. And over time, thinking feels like a burden. Fighting misinformation is constant, draining work, and not everyone can keep fighting the algorithm alone. The feeling of being outnumbered is real. Even though many intelligent people exist, they live in bubbles. Stupidity, by contrast, organizes. It feeds off memes, short phrases, ready-made certainties. It creates identity, community, purpose. While the lucid retreat, the loud fill the space, and ignorance becomes the dominant presence. Lies don't need to convince, just confuse. They weaken trust and erode common ground. When no one knows what's true anymore, the loudest wins. Legitimate doubt is replaced with engineered chaos. In this environment, reason is useless. There's no soil for it to grow. Confusion is the ecosystem of modern stupidity, and the collapse of dialogue is its strongest symptom. Rationality is in retreat, not because it disappeared, but because it lost its place. Being rational comes with social costs. You must defend complex ideas in a world that craves simplicity. You must contradict emotional narratives with uncomfortable facts. Thinking has become a lonely act. And in a crowd-driven world, the lone voice is ignored. Public discourse has been hijacked by slogans and resentment. Logic was replaced with reactive identity games. What matters isn't what's true, it's who's speaking. And if you don't reinforce the tribe, you're cancelled or ignored. Reason requires dialogue, but tribalism demands loyalty. And in that game, thought loses, because thinking is, by nature, rebellious. We're living in a time where being sensible takes courage. The courage to be unpopular, to seem arrogant, to disturb. Most people don't want to think. They want their feelings confirmed. And thinkers hesitate. Is it worth fighting for a truth no one wants? The answer is still yes. But fewer believe that each day. And the more silence spreads, the more space noise takes. Stupidity doesn't rise alone. It feeds on the surrender of the lucid. How many times have you stayed silent to avoid conflict? How often did you hold back, even knowing the other person was wrong? Not out of fear, but fatigue. Because you knew no argument would be heard. Because telling the truth today feels almost useless. Ignorance doesn't listen. It reacts. And reacting isn't dialogue. It's domination. Have you ever felt like a minority even when you were right? Felt like thinking has become a social error? Like questioning makes you the outsider? Like silence is safer than lucidity? We live in a time when the absurd has become normal, and pointing out the obvious is now offensive. Truth wounds more than comfortable lies. What do you do when the world rejects common sense? When facts are reduced to opinions? When experts are mocked and amateurs celebrated? You pause, consider, reflect, and you've already lost. Because the stupid don't pause. They speak with force, even when they know nothing. And in today's game, force beats reason when reason stays quiet. It's an unfair fight. On one side, a crowd that believes without thinking. On the other, a few who think but hesitate to speak. And in that pause, ignorance fills the gap. Doubt became weakness, reflection, arrogance, and the silence of the wise turned into silent complicity. Have you ever felt ashamed of being intelligent? Not ashamed of knowledge itself, but of how it makes others uncomfortable. The need to dumb things down to avoid sounding pretentious. The pressure to stay quiet, to not alienate others. Meanwhile, stupidity speaks loudly, without filter, without fear. And it's praised for being real, honest, relatable. But what it really is dangerous. The solitude of the intelligent is real. Not because they're elitist, but because they don't fit the environment. Thinking requires time, but the world demands speed. Thinking needs silence, but the world wants constant presence. Thinking involves uncertainty, but the world craves instant certainty. Intelligence became an obstacle in the age of impulsiveness, and so many pretend not to know. But that choice has a cost. Every time you stay silent, an ignorant voice fills your place. Every time you opt out, you feed the illusion of consensus. The issue isn't that the stupid speak, it's that only they speak. If you don't speak up, your truth vanishes. And if it vanishes, the world is shaped by those who don't think. Is that what you want? The silence of the intelligent isn't just the absence of speech. It's a kind of exile, a slow retreat from public space. They no longer want to debate, explain, correct. They feel it's no longer worth it, that no one listens. And little by little, this withdrawal becomes habit. The world fills with empty voices, and the lucid ones fade away. This leads to a vacuum of intellectual leadership. Spaces of influence are filled by populists, self-made gurus, digital demagogues. People who don't think, but speak well. People who don't study, but know how to charm. People without depth, but who generate engagement. Performative ignorance has become public authority, and deep thought has been pushed to the margins. Then comes the silent intellectual suicide, an invisible but devastating phenomenon. The most capable, conscious, thoughtful people, they simply give up on teaching, on writing, on speaking, because everything has become a fight, and the fight is won by those with nothing to lose. The social result is clear. The herd grows. Without thought leaders, the masses follow the loudest voice. Noise becomes guidance. Emotion becomes compass. Truth gives way to convenience, and culture deteriorates. One compromise at a time. Education becomes indoctrination or mere entertainment. Critique becomes hate or virtue signaling. In the long run, we lose our ability to think collectively. Everyone lives in their own bubble, their own truth, their own narrative. No common ground, no real dialogue. Social fabric breaks into trenches, Language no longer unites, it only attacks. There's no longer a we, just them. And civilization loses its cohesion. In politics, this breeds weak leaders and fanatic followers. Decisions are driven by popularity, not principle. Mass hysteria sets agendas. Calmness is mistaken for apathy. The state becomes hostage to organized ignorance. Meanwhile, the capable avoid leadership, avoid visibility. They'd rather survive than try to reform. In the end, what remains is deep alienation, living in a world where logic, truth, and sense no longer matter, feeling strange for thinking, dangerous for questioning. The intelligent feel like foreigners in their own society, and that feeling isolates, weakens, wounds. The tragedy isn't that the stupid speak, it's that the wise gave up, and everyone will pay the price for that. Thinking critically today is a political act, not partisan, but resistance. Resistance against organized mediocrity, against multiplied falsehoods, against the noise that drowns out truth. Thinking means rejecting the speed of the crowd. It means facing the discomfort of doubt with courage. We must relearn how to value lucid silence. The pause before posting, the reading before replying, the humility to say, I don't know, the responsibility not to share what hasn't been verified, the strength to not spread falsehood just because it feels good. Doubt is not weakness. It's the mark of an active mind. And today, doubt is one of the bravest acts. It's not about defeating the stupid. This isn't a war for trophies. It's a battle for clarity, awareness, and collective sanity. Victory doesn't mean silencing the other. It means not playing their game. Don't shout louder. Don't simplify more. Hold your integrity. Even if it costs you. Even if no one claps. To react doesn't mean joining every argument. It means choosing where your energy matters most. It means creating spaces of clarity, even small ones. It means building alliances with those who still value thought. It means teaching, writing, dialoguing, even if it's for a few. Because a spark of lucidity can relight a fire, and that fire can become a movement. If the intelligent go silent, the world bows to noise. Truth doesn't impose itself. It needs defenders, even tired ones, even outnumbered, even unmotivated. Lucidity needs people who won't abandon it, because a society without critical thought is a suicidal society. And no one survives that collapse. The responsibility isn't someone else's, it's yours. Your way of consuming, sharing, responding. Your way of educating, arguing, choosing silence or speech. Every action feeds one side, lucidity or noise. Every hesitation has a cost. Every surrender opens space for absurdity. You're not just a spectator, you're a participant. Intelligence only matters if it refuses to be silent. If you don't resist, if you adapt, if you remain passive. You're not a victim of the stupidest generation. You are part of it.